The U.S. State Secretary has accepted the need to cooperate with the Syrian army in a fight against Islamic State in Syria, and he was speaking at an Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe conference currently underway in Belgrade.
Without the ability to find some ground forces that are prepared to take on Daesh, this will not be won completely from the air. If we get a political transition in place, we empower every nation and every entity to come together, the Syrian army together with the opposition, together with all the surrounding countries. Together with Russia, the United States, and others, to go and fight Daesh.
That's al-Mutalabi, a member of Baghdad Security Council, is here with me now to discuss the latest on the fight against ISIL. Thank you so much, Mr. Mutalabi, for joining us here in RT International. So the first question is, why has it taken so long for the U.S. to accept the need for a broad coalition in Syria?
Yes, thank you very much. I do believe that the United States, until today, are still using ISIS and Daesh as a political mean for political ends. And with the past year, we have been battling against Daesh and ISIS, and we see that the Americans were never serious in combating that enemy. The Americans were never serious in combating that enemy. And we always, we have complained a number of times on the delay of the ammunition and armament that we have already paid for to the United States and still has not been delivered. And those that were delivered with conditions, that these conditions would not allow us to use this military hardware in the liberating of the center of Iraq and west of Baghdad. That these conditions would not allow us to use this military hardware in the liberating of the center of Iraq and west of Baghdad. So it's very suspicious what is happening today, and I think with the introduction of a new important player in the Syrian scene, i.e. the Russian Federation, I think the American plans had to be modified in such a way that would indicate a possible understanding that ISIS could not be used as a viable political tool for political ends.
Well, only yesterday we heard John Kerry reiterating that President Assad needs to go. Let's take a listen.
Assad himself does not have the legitimacy to be able to heal the country. To reunite the country. That is not regime change. That is Assad change.
So just judging by his words, can we assume that America's own political agenda prevails the fight against ISIL?
I mean, this simple way of thinking that Assad needs to be changed without the say of the Syrian people, it's a clear violation of every international regulation. The only entity in this world who are in charge of appointing or removing any leader of any member state of the United Nations, in this case, should be the Syrian people, and should not be the United States or Saudi Arabia, which are pumping money and armaments and suicide bombers into Syria and Iraq on the pretext that Assad should go. Well, the Syrian people should decide who is to rule their country, and not Saudi Arabia, and definitely not the United States of America. And the same thing applies here in Iraq. We see thousands of Saudi suicide bombers who, with their twisted mentality and twisted ideology, come and explode themselves among our marketplaces, our school buses, and among the civilian targets. And then Saudi Arabia talk about finding a new political understanding for Iraq. Well, Iraq and Syria both have reached a government through direct elections, and these elections and the people of these countries should be the only entities that should have the right to decide who rules and who doesn't.
Well, nonetheless, the U.S. said that it will pour more troops into Iraq to fight ISIL, but we heard from an Iraqi MP who does not support the move. So does that mean that American troops will be deployed even against Iraq's will?
Well, they're definitely employed or deployed against the will of the parliament and the will of the Iraqi nation. The way they've gone around it is they are deploying these 200 special forces in the province of Kurdistan and not in the rest of Iraq. They will be in Erbil helping the Peshmerga, the Kurdish army, into the regaining of or re-emphasizing the grip on the Iraqi territories that KRG, that the Kurds have took as a hostage with the incoming of ISIS. So there is a collaboration, a high-level collaboration between the United States and between Masoud Barzani, the president of Kurdistan, but therefore the presence of the United States troops, special forces or otherwise, in the rest of Iraq will be definitely not welcomed. And as far as I understood, these special troops are necessary for the United States to pinpoint where the aircraft, the jet fighters, would attack their targets. And that's why they sometimes claim that they cannot attack any targets in south of Mosul or in the Arab side of Iraq because they don't have spotters and they don't have special forces to pinpoint the targets for the American planes to target.